Hashem, Parachat Shelah Lekha. I want to speak about the subject. We all know the Meraglim, the spies, 12 spies. They went to Israel. They came back. They spoke Lashon Hara. This is the famous story, the known story. I picked the subject in the parasha. Very interesting subject. Then somebody asked me, he saw over here what's going over here. Says, why are you writing? How much was each thing? Why is it important? I want to show you something very interesting. When the Torah gives details, or Chachamim, or the Gemara, there's reasons why you have those details. It's important sometimes to know the details. Sometimes we know the general story, and sometimes we have to go into the details, the small details of the story. So let's begin the story. The story begins, Am Yisrael is traveling from Sinai. After 1 year, minus 10 days, Rashi says, they are leaving Sinai, they're going to Israel. Parashat Devarim says, the route from Har Sinai to Eretz Israel is 11 days. Like if you walk, it's going to take you 11 days. Hashem makes a miracle. Instead of 11 days, they reach the Jordan in 3 days. Wow. You have to understand, you have kids, you have animals. Hashem made a miracle. He wanted them to get to Israel as fast as possible. Everything is for them. So that's what's left. Next morning, we wake up. We're supposed to wake up. Modeh ani lefanecha. We're going to Israel. Last minute, the Yitzhak comes. He says, no. Listen, how we can go into a land that we have to conquer? We know that there's over there 31 melachim, 31 kings. We're going to have to fight 31 kings. It's not we need a strategy. We need to know where you're going into. Nishlecha anashim lefanenu. Let's send people. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, no, but Hashem said, Tavu, just go inside. No, listen. Top, bוא נשאל את Hashem. Let's ask Hashem. He's asking Hashem, what do you say? Should we send people? He said, why, you don't trust me? Says Rashi, Chayecha, I'm telling you, now that they didn't put their faith in me, I'm going to leave a place for them to get wrong and to do the wrong thing. Why? Because I did everything. I moved them in 3 days instead of 11 days. I gave them the Torah. I did everything for them to be ready to come into Israel. Now that they're not sure, let them go in the natural way, not in the miraculous way. Very good. Okay, we have to choose 12 people. Kulam anashim. He chooses the elite. Elite means those 12 people named in the parasha all the way in the beginning. They are the most tzaddikim in the camp. So it's not somebody from the street or the most tzaddikim. Okay? They go now, and they have to go, and Moshe is giving instructions. What's the instructions? You go into the land, look at the land. Is there water sources, right? Is there trees? Is the land, the air, is the air good? How are you going to see the air is good if people are big or small? You know, each country, the people living in the country are according to what they eat, they drink, and they breathe. So he's giving them very precise instructions what to look for. You're going to Israel. מה אתה רוצה לראות? What do you want to see? אז אני אומר לך, וראיתם, you'll see this and this and that. Okay, they go. And then starts the story. They come to a place called Nachal Eshkol. There is like a small spring over there, or a small river, and it's called Eshkol. Rashi says, look at that. Eshkol means a cluster of grapes. Why is the place called the cluster of grapes? The place was called many years before the cluster of grapes because Hashem knew they're going to come to this place and take a cluster of grapes. So it's called Eshkol before they even reached there. That's another sign to tell you, hello, be careful what you see, what you say, be careful. They come and they cut a cluster of grapes. Okay? They cut a cluster of grapes. Rashi says, the Torah tells us, they cut the cluster of grapes, bamot, they put it on a stick, bishnaim, with 2. What does bamot bishnaim mean? Does bamot means on a stick with 2 people? Like when you buy in Israel, bottles of wine, what do you see always? 2 people carrying a cluster. It became an emblem. This story became an emblem. So when you buy bottles of wine in Israel, you always think Armei Mizrahi, all those, Golan, They always have a mot, they have a stick, and they have two people carrying the stick. Rashi says, that's not what the Torah means. Bamot b'shnaim, they're using two sticks. Shnaim refers to the sticks and not to the people. But according to the Gemara, according to the Chamim, shnaim means two sticks in each direction. So basically, what you have is like tic-tac-toe. You have 1, 2, 1, 2. So how many people are going to carry these grapes? 8 people are going to carry the grape, the cluster. Huge cluster. Huge one. Okay. So that's, Rashi is giving us a little bit more details. Rashi says, if you really want to know, do you want to know how much the cluster measure, how much the shakal, how much it weighs? Okay? Yeah, what do we have to do? This is to show you the beauty of the Torah. The Torah gives you details. When you want to know details, the Torah is going to give you details. It's not like a story, like the Goyim are going to tell you a story. Columbus came to America. You know, he found America. What was Columbus wearing? He was wearing jeans. Levi's didn't exist yet, right? What was he wearing? Jeans, he was wearing a tunic. What was he wearing? Ma'achal Columbus. What Columbus ate? What, chicken? Fried? What did he eat? We don't know. You ask the Torah, what did the Jews wear 3,500 years ago? The Torah is going to tell you, Parachat Bo, they were wearing tunics. They had belts on the tunics, they had sandals, and they had sticks in their hand. And what were they eating the night before going out of Egypt? They had matzah and korban pesach. We have all the small details when we need. Here we also, Rashi says, I'm going to give you all the details about this. Let's go a tour of the Gemara, a tour of the Midrash, and let's give us the details. But at the end I want to show you what the beauty of this. Why do we need to know those details? Okay, so Rashi begins. Rashi started. Rashi says, Tzeh ulmad. Come, let's go to another place and come back here. Am Yisrael is crossing 40 years later, after the story, 40 years later, we are crossing the Jordan. Yarden, right? We're crossing the Jordan. As we cross the Jordan, Hashem is giving us a mitzvah. What's the mitzvah? I want to take 12 rocks. Hashem says, take out of the Jordan 12 rocks. Not small rocks, big rocks. 12. Why? Moshe Rabbeinu is going to write on the 12 rocks Kol Torah, the whole Torah, in 70 languages. 70 lashon. 70 languages, the Torah is going to be written on 12 rocks.
כבר אז היה 70 לשונות.
כבר אז, בטח, בבל, מגדל בבל. There was Babylon, there's Arabic, all you what you want, right? Because it was Migdal Bavel, right? So Moshe Rabbeinu is going to write the Torah in 70 lashon. Yafe. Those rocks, how much did they measure? 12 people carrying 12 rocks to bring them outside the Jordan. Says Rashi, our sages teach us, האבנים שהקים יהושע בגלגל, הרימו איש אחד אבן מן הירדן על שכמו, שקלום רבותינו. Our sages, 2,000 years ago, 2,500 years ago, they went to the Jordan, הלכו לירדן לשקול את האבנים, to measure the stones, how much they measured. And they found that the stones were really still there, and they measured the stones, שקלום רבותינו, משקל כל אחת 40 סאה. Each rock was 40 סאה. 40 סאה, just for you to know, is the size of the mikveh, of women's mikveh, the water. Wow. There is a discussion, how much should water be in the mikveh of the ladies? Some say 400 liters, the Chazon Ish says 800 liters. We'll go tonight with the smallest size, the smallest. Then you'll figure out what's the biggest size. 400 liters is equal 400 kilos. Liters, kilos. So each rock was 400 kilos. So 12 people, each one picked up a rock of 400 kilos. It's like, you know, even in the gym they don't pick this up. 400 kilos, that was a 400 kilos. Very good. Rashi Omer. That was in the Yarden. That was when they come to Israel. But before this, now we're coming back to the grape. Coming back to the grape, says Rashi. So each one of them, right? Each one of them was able to carry 400 kilos on his shoulder. But 1 second, 400 kilos by itself. How many people were here? 12. 8. So Rashi says, if you want to know the size of the cluster of grapes, make 8 times 400 kilos. So we get to 3,200 kilo, which means 3 tons. Okay? Rashi says, wait, 1 second. The Gemara is teaching us something also. Do you know, when you pick up a weight, certain weight, and somebody comes to help you, together, 2 people, one person is X, right? 2 people will be 3 times X. Or call it Y. 3 times Y. Okay? One person picks up Y, whatever Y is going to be. 2 people will pick up 3 times Y. Why? When you have 2 people, there's more, you get to pick up more. So it's like 30% more. Right? Which is 3 times, right? More. Says Rashi, if in the Jordan each one picked up 400 kilos, the cluster needed 8 people because each one is going to pick up 400 kilos. You have to double it by 3. 3 times 200 times 3, 9 times 600 kilos. That's the smallest size if we go with 400 kilo. If we go with 800 kilo, we're talking about 18 tons.
אבל איך הרימו 8 אנשים?
איך הרימו? אז בוא נראה.
מאיפה לקחו את הערבים?
מישראל?
אז הם כבר היו בתוך ישראל?
הם היו בתוך ישראל, הם נכנסו לישראל. הם הגיעו למקום שקוראים לו נחל אשכול. So they picked it up and they bring it to the camp. כן? עכשיו בוא נראה משהו. Let's see something. They want to bring this to the camp. Imagine when you have a bull, show. מדובר לפחות טונה. פה אתה מרים, כאילו אתה לוקח 9 oxes together, you're trying to pick them up. That's the size of the grape. Says the Sikar Siftei Chachamim. Siftei Chachamim says, Vayamim, the Torah tells us, Vayamim Yemei Bikurei Anavim. And in those days, when they came to Israel, היום הזה שהגיעו לישראל, Yemei Bikurei Anavim. It's the days where the grapes are getting ripened. Why is the Torah saying that? למה התורה אומרת את זה? ימי ביקורי. ביקורים זה כאילו מתחילים להתבקר, מתחילים להתבשל. They're starting to ripen. Why does the Torah says they chose a grape, the grape that they chose was not ripe yet. So imagine if it were ripe, it will be bigger. This was like a young cluster of grape. And why did they do that? They did it expertly to show that the taste is not so good. Yeah? But the truth is, it was delicious as is. As is.
סליחה, מחילה. We said we have ראשים, tzaddikim, and then they come back and
יפה. Let's leave this question to the end of the class and we'll explain it. Okay? Very good question. We'll leave it to the end of the class. Hopefully, if I don't say it, you remind us. So, this is the cluster of grapes. Now, we have to understand everything is in proportion. נכון? בכל דבר יש פרופורציה. זאת אומרת, if the grapes is this size, what are the size of the men? What are the size of the men that lived in Israel? כנעני, חיתי, האמורי, היבוסי, והחיתי, והגרגשי. מה המידות שלהם? כן? In the parasha, it tells us. Parasha, it tells us. The parasha says, they come to Moshe Rabbeinu, and they tell Moshe Rabbeinu, Vani'i be'enenu kechagavim. The proportion between us and them, say the Meraglim, grasshopper to a man. What was the size of the Meraglim? In average, according to Midrash, their size was 2.5 meters, 7.5 feet. That was a normal sized man at the time of Moshe Rabbeinu. 7.5 feet. But that's the Am Israel. The Nephilim, the man in Israel, like you take a 7.5 man, he's like a grasshopper compared to them. What's their size? And why are they called Nephilim? Why are they called Nephilim? Omer Rashi, because when you look at those giants, you fall from fear. You cannot stand on your feet. You just collapse. Just from trembling, seeing those men. Right? So, that's almost 10 tons of a grape. Imagine the people that were there. What is Hashem saying us? Go to Israel, go to Israel, conquer Israel. You'll be able to sit in the land.
All men were like this,
Yes.
or there were some smaller, some bigger?
Some even bigger.
Wow.
Some even bigger. Right?
But wasn't the issue that that's how they saw themselves? It wasn't, they weren't comparing the actual size. It was a psychological thing. They felt it may be out of fear or whatever, but they said, what it was, the guy posted says, we were
Vayi
like
b'einenu. Chazak. That's their perception, but they were not wrong. The Midrash, if you look at the Midrash Rabbah says, why did they come to say that? They say when they got to Israel, one of the giants was eating a pomegranate. He threw the peel, and one giant told to the other friend, you know, I see ants going around here. So he told them, where? So one of the giants was eating a peel, he was eating a pomegranate. He threw the peel, and it covered them, and this is where they found hiding from those giants. They were about to kill them, to smash them. Okay? So imagine you take a peel of a pomegranate, okay? But the Torah says that they didn't bring only a cluster of grapes. They brought one pomegranate and one fig. So 8 people carried the cluster of grapes. One person carried one pomegranate, 400 kilos, and one person carried one fig, 400 kilos. So we're missing 2 over there. Who are the 2? Says Rashi. Caleb and Yoshua. They said we're not carrying anything. Why? Because we know they're going to use these beautiful fruits to speak slander, to speak Lashon Hara about Israel. We don't want them to use something beautiful to speak Lashon Hara. Okay? So this is where we're at. Okay? Let me go to another story in relation to this. Let me go to another story in Tanakh. They're coming to Israel after 40 years. They came to Israel after 40 years. What's the first city? What's the first city they had to conquer when they came to Israel the first time? Jericho, right? They're coming to Jericho, and they have to conquer Jericho. אומרת הגמרא מסכת מגילה. The Gemara is teaching us. Impossible to conquer Jericho. Impossible. You know why? The people, when they build Jericho, they build a wall around Jericho. The size of the wall was, whatever was the height, was the width. Which means, if they built a 30 feet wall, the width of the wall was 30 feet. Even if you try to smash it into, like they did in Jerusalem, they brought all kinds of caterpillars and they knocked down the wall. Here, even if you knock down the wall, the crumbles, the rocks are going to prevent you from coming to the city. So what is Hashem telling them? Don't worry, my sons. I'm telling you to go to Israel. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of you. What do you have to do? No effort, lo milchama, shum davar. I want you every day, starting Sunday, to go around the city 1 time. Yom Rishon, Sunday, 1 turn. Monday, turn it another time, 1 turn. Tuesday, sivuv. Wednesday, sivuv. Till Shabbat. When Shabbat is going to come, אני רוצה שתסתובבו 7 times. So akafot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want you to take a shofar. You blow the shofar. They did exactly what Hashem said. What happens? The wall doesn't fall. the wall starts sinking in the ground. So the wall sinks, the whole four sides. They sink, they go on ground level. It goes in to ground level, and they just have to pass straight, and they win the war. How can you build such a wall? Giants. How can you build such a huge wall? No one can build such a wall. Giants, right? So you imagine what's waiting for them over there. Okay? But what does Hashem say? Do you have emunah or not? If you trust me, you're not going to have to fight. Hashem yilachem lachem v'atem tacharishum. You just go. I just want you to come into Israel. So it's a question of emunah, right? So you're going to see giants. You're going to see all kinds of things over there. All kinds of things. The only thing you have to do, just to walk into Israel. Okay? But they chose, unfortunately, another route. They chose that, let's go the natural way. You see such giants, you see such cities, you see such fruits. How are we going to come into this place? It's not for us. It's really not for us, right? So you know what we do? We have an idea. Coming back to your question. They had a good idea. Good idea means in parentheses. What's the idea? Listen. If we're going to Israel, what's going to happen now? We're going to have to start working the land. We're going to have to start building, right? Buildings, because whatever is there is not enough for our children, for everybody, right? So we're going to have to do so many things, but what's going to happen? We're not going to have time to study Torah. Lo yeh zman lilmod Torah. In the desert, what are we doing the whole day? What are we doing in the desert the whole day?
Just study Torah.
You wake up in the morning, modeh ani lefanecha, you study Torah from the morning, from Netzach Hama, ad Shkiat Hama. Hashem is giving you man, Hashem is giving you clothes, Hashem is giving you shoes, whatever they say, their clothes used to grow with them. So they used one tunic for 40 years. In the morning, when you wake up, the clouds came down and they put steam on you. Psh, 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 psh. You have a nice coming out from it. You don't have to wait 2-3 days from the cleaners. It's cleaning every morning, right? The shoes, they go with your foot. A little kid is going to have small shoes. They grow with him. You have everything. You have the man. Once a day, you get the man for the morning, for the night, for breakfast, for dinner. And the whole day you study Torah. So they say, you know what? What for we have to go into Israel? We have to build. What for? So you know what's the best thing? The best thing will be, let's tell everybody, this land, look at the fruits, לא טוב. And let's go. And Hashem, what is going to say? Hashem, you don't want to go? Okay, so stay in the desert. No worries, parnasa, no parnasa, everything we're taking care of. Be'er shel Miriam, the well of Miriam, water, 24 hours, as much as water. You want to shower, you want to drink. It's not like you're lacking water. You have food, everything. Everything is ready. What for you need this? We don't need this. So yes, Hashem wants to reward us because He promised Avraham Avinu that he lived. Avraham gar shama, Sarah gara shama. So He wants the great children to come back to Israel. But no, thank you. We're good. As bo nisher bachutz. Let's stay outside. Okay? But Hashem says no. It's either in or you're out from this world. Not out from Israel. Out from this world. Which is what's going to happen. In 40 days, this generation disappeared completely. In 40 years, 40 years, this generation disappeared completely, right? But was it worth it, what they did? Was it worth it? Look at that. You know why? Because Omer Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, history repeats itself. History goes back. זה כמו גלגל, כן? It's not that we go through time. It's not us going through time. Time is there. זה כמו גלגל. It's like time is a גלגל. It's when we say the bracha of let's say Hanukkah, what do we say? בימים ההם הזמן הזה. What does it mean? אומרים המפרשים, חנוכה is here, there's a wheel, יש חנוכה. זה מסתובב, goes, comes כסלו, wow, boom. The same thing that happened then is going to happen now. Just the people are different. Right? Example today. What was today? Today was Chav Gimel Sivan. So I don't know if you saw a little bit what was circulating on the net, right? They said, what was the date of Chav Gimel? מה קרה בחב גימל סיוון? מה קרה? אסתר. היא באה לאחשוורוש. Esther came to Achashverosh and she told him, you know, there's one wicked man wants to kill me and my nation and it's not good for you, Achashverosh. He says, what? Who is this wicked man? מי זה הרשע הזה? היא אמרה לו, המן הרע הזה, והוא היה שמה, he was there. What does Achashverosh do? Hang a man. And then the Megillah says, Esther tells for the first time to Achashverosh, who is Mordechai? You know that Mordechai is my husband? What? So how can he marry me? Yeah, I never told you, but Mordechai is my husband. He's my uncle too. He's my uncle. Oh, I didn't know that. And I know that Mordechai saved my life. That's why he told Haman to take Mordechai in the streets and scream, Mi kacha ya'aseh la'ish, ken? Oh, I'm sorry about that. And Haman wanted to kill the nation. So what do you want? Ad chatzeh, whatever you ask me now. So she told him, I want you to write that the Jews are allowed to defend themselves. Vaykar'u sofrei hamelech, all the scribes of the king were called. They wrote in 127 languages and they sent it all over the world. בכל העולם שלחו את זה. לקח שנה, it took a year. שלחו את זה בכל העולם. That the Jews are allowed to defend themselves. אומר הרבי מלובביץ', says the Rabbi Mlubavitch, you know what it means? It means when the wheel is going to turn, and we're going to come to Chav Gimel Sivan like today, Bashamayim, what does it say? Today, if there's any decree on anybody, he can nullify it. Because you're talking to the king, every time it says Hamelech, the king in Megillat Esther, does not refer to Achashverosh, refers to Hashem. כל פעם שכתוב המלך, המלך זה מלכו של עולם, זה מלך העולם. ויקראו סופרי המלך, and the angels were called, the angels are the scribes, right? And Hashem says, write whatever he's asking you, whatever Esther and Mordechai are asking you to write good about the Jews. Tov al Yehudim, tov. Al Yehudim, just write it. And give it put it out as a decree. So the Rabbi Mlubavitch Amar, Chav Gimel Sivan is a big day to nullify decrees. But you have to understand, every holiday is like this. Purim is like this, and Chanukah is like this, and Pesach is like this. Pesach, you're coming out of, all kinds of paths that you want to go out in life. You have certain things you want to get out of, right? And Purim, all the holiday, everything, all the holiday. Bayamim Hayem, Bazman Hazeh. So basically, we are standing in one place. The wheel is turning around us. It's not that we go through time. We are standing. Just what the thing is different people. Different people are standing, right? But the dates are the same. Everything is the same. The problem with this story, when this story happened, Tisha B'Av. This story takes place that when they come back, it's Tisha B'Av. Okay? So what did they do? They show them the fruits. They tell them it's not kedai, it's better to stay in the desert. Vativke kol ha'eda, everybody started to cry. Hashem says, why are you crying? Oh, you want to cry? So you know what's going to happen? In the wheel of time, this day is going to be a day of crying. So every year on this day, you're going to cry. First temple, destroyed Tisha B'Av. Second temple, destroyed Tisha B'Av. The expulsion of Spain, expel Tisha B'Av, right? Kristallnacht, Tisha B'Av. All the crying things is going to happen Tisha B'Av. Why? Because you mark the calendar with a day to cry. You want to cry? You're going to cry. Every generation you're going to cry now. Why? Because you are the Dor HaMidbar. You're going to mark the calendar for life, right? So that's why, right? That was a wrong calculation what they did. Instead, what should they have done? What they should have done? Bring the fruits. It says, look, wow, Eze Beracha. Look at the blessings. Look at the blessing of Israel. Look at the cluster of grapes. And those people, They are giants. You're going to see how they fall in front of us like grasshoppers. Not we are the grasshoppers. They're the grasshoppers. They're going to fall like Jericho fell down. Right? There's two ways to see things. Look, if I draw the number 9, okay? This is number 9, okay? And I put one person over here and one person over here. What number is he going to see?
6.
He sees 6. What does he see? 9. Is he wrong? No. Is he wrong? No. Every time you see something, both people are going to see the truth, but the way they want to see it. He is not wrong and he is not wrong. But if you want to see good things, Hashem is going to make it good. And if you want to see the bad in things, you're going to see the bad. And you're not wrong, because this is how you saw it, this is how you perceived it, and this is how it's going to be for you. So that's why we have two great rabbis. One is Rabbi Ish Gamzu, Nachum Ish Gamzu, and one Rabbi Akiva. Nachum Ish Gamzu used to say, Gamzu letova, this also for the good. And Rabbi Akiva says, Kol David Rachamana letav avid. Whatever Hashem does is for the good. They always wanted to see the good. You know the story of Nachum Ish Gamzu. Nachum Ish Gamzu, Rome decreed on the Jews a certain decree. So they had to nullify the decree. So they say, in order to nullify the decree, we need the big rabbi to take a present to the emperor from the Jewish community, because no one wanted to go, and to speak to the emperor. Maybe he's going to take off his decree. אז מצאו איזה רב, אמרו הכי צדיק, מי הכי צדיק? נחום איש גמזו. נחום איש גמזו. He was the rabbi of Rabbi Akiva. He was teaching Rabbi Akiva. So he was a big scholar. They gave him a box, קופסה, מלא יהלומים, diamond, jewels, gold, פנינים, everything. אמרו לו, לך תביא את זה לקיסר. Go bring it to Caesar and ask him to take off the decree of the Jewish nation. So, he went. On the way, it's a long way. He stopped in a motel. The owner of the motel was not Jewish, אבל היה רמאי. He understood this rabbi is innocent, like he's tamim. מה הוא עשה? When the rabbi went to sleep, he went to check the box. He sees gold. Wow! He took the box, and the rabbi was sleeping. He emptied it out. And what did he do? He filled it up with sand. In the morning, the rabbi wakes up. לא יודע שום דבר. He doesn't know nothing. It's the same, it's heavy as it was before. So he doesn't understand, he doesn't check. חוזר, הולך בדרך. He reaches Rome. Yeah, what do you want? I want to speak with the emperor, okay, come. מה אתה רוצה? What do you want? אז הוא אומר להם, listen, the Jewish community wants to send you a present, and they want you to take off the decree. Okay, what did you send me? הוא פותח, מה, יש חול. So, they send you to make fun of me? Not only I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill them also. Says the Gemara, Eliyahu Navi comes down, and he disguises as one of the Jewish ministers, and he says to the king, no, your majesty, אתה לא מבין מה יש פה, החול הזה זה לא חול. זה החול של אברהם אבינו. Right, this is the sand of Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu used this sand when he fought the four giant kings with their army. He took the sand, he threw it on their soldiers. Each grain of sand became a flesh, arrow, right? And it killed all the goyim. Oh, it's true. Let me test it. This time he had war somewhere. He sent it to the front of the war, and it's true. Every time they used to throw a little bit of sand, it turned to arrows. Wow, you give me such a present? I want you to fill up the box with gold and silver and everything, and tell the Jews they have nothing what to be scared from. Kacha, okay? Lama, why? כי נחום איש גמזו, when he was in this situation in front of the emperor, and the emperor says he got upset, what did he say? גמזו לטובה. I don't know how, but I'm sure that something good is going to come out of it. I'm sure. This is an approach in life. In life, you have to see good. Every situation in life, you have to try to look for the good. What good? You can't find kol shachor, everything is black, everything is not good. There is good, you have to look for it. Right? Hashem told them, I'm sending you to Israel. Look for the good. Don't look for the bad. You know what's happening? The same thing today. You go to Israel. You go, you come to the airport, Ben Gurion, you rent a car, רק אתה יוצא בחוץ, you're just going outside, the heat, איזה חם פה, Miami זה כלום, Miami is nothing compared to Israel, right? Because not everything is מזגן, not everything is with air conditioner, you know, it's expensive, זה הרבה כסף, כן? אחר כך אתה הולך, traffic, wow, Miami is nothing compared to this traffic. Israelis, the whole day they beep, 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 beep. Why is that עצבנים? People are nervous over here, כן? לא, they don't respect the Torah. אתה בא למיאמי, אתה מספר סיוטר, everybody, no, in Israelis, למה? למה לספר לשון הרע על ישראל? תגיד, Look for the good. Look for the good. Look for the good, don't look for the bad. תסתכל, וואו, אתה יודע איפה הייתי? בכותל המערבי. יש לך כותל במיאמי? 1,000 שנים לא, 5,000 שנה לא אחד. כותל המערבי. Can you have anything in the world like כותל המערבי? Could you have anything like צפת, קברות הצדיקים? Could you have so many tzaddik in Israel that you go to visit? Could you have a Bnei Brak in Miami or any place in the world? Can you have anything of this thing? No. So why are you looking for the bad side? Look for the light side. Look for the good. Look what you have in Israel that you don't have in Israel. Yes, everything is bad and good. Everything. That is Etz HaChaim Tov V'Ra. That's exactly what Adam and Chava did. When they ate from the tree of knowledge, what does the Torah call it? Tov V'Ra. Now their job is going to be to distinguish between the good and the bad. Before they ate, לפני שאכלו, הכל היה טוב. Everything was good. There was no bad. There was no bad. Once they ate, they created good and bad. And now their job is to separate the good from the bad. So our job is also the same thing. In life, everywhere you are, גם זו לטובה, whatever Hashem does is לטוב. הכל טוב. הכל טוב. Everything is good. And when you go with this approach in life, this is how it's going to be. So from this parasha, this is one detail. There's so many things in the parasha also, right? How do you call this? It's going to be also a story at the end of the parasha. There was one man. He was the first man to profane Shabbat in public. מחלל Shabbat. אבל מחלל Shabbat in public. You have to understand something. לפני 70 שנה, 70 years ago, in Morocco, in Tunisia, in Turkey, in all those places, there was no such thing as מחלל Shabbat. There was Rabbi Chaim Palaji. He lived in Turkey. He swore, אומר, אני יכול להישבע על ספר תורה שאין מחלל שבת אחד בקהילה שלי. And you're not talking about 100 people, you're talking about thousands, community, you're taking a big community. There's no such thing as מחלל Shabbat. There's no such thing. He said, I can swear that in my community is no. After when they left Morocco, they left the ghettos, right? And they came to Israel, kibbutz, there, okay. Unfortunately, okay? You know what it means in time of Moshe Rabbeinu to מחלל Shabbat? Moshe Rabbeinu. Would you do anything in front of Moshe Rabbeinu? Chas v'shalom. Moshe Rabbeinu. Who is going to dare מחלל Shabbat in time of Moshe Rabbeinu? Chas v'shalom. Here, the Torah is telling us, in the end of the parasha, Shlach Lecha, at the end of the parasha, in Shabbat, vayu bnei Yisrael bamidbar, vayimtzu ish mekoshesh etzim biyom HaShabbat. On Shabbat, this man, and he went to collect wood to make fire. So they told them, oh, maybe you forgot the Shabbat. Maybe you forgot the Shabbat. Okay? They say, there was a Rabbi Yitzchak Levin from Berdichov. One time, פעם אחת, it was Kippur. היה הולך, he saw a Jew in his community eating a sandwich. He told him, why? He told him, סלח לי, בטח שכחת שזה כיפור, נכון? Right, you forgot it's כיפור? טוב, לא. אני יודע שזה כיפור. אז הוא אומר לו, I know. Probably you're sick and the doctor tell you must eat. You're diabetic. You cannot fast in Kippur. He said, no. Baruch Hashem, I'm in good health. ברוך השם, אז הוא אומר לו, טוב, אז כנראה, אז הוא אומר, he lifts his eye to the heavens, he says, Hashem, I want you to see that. אתה רואה את הבן אדם הזה, איזה צדיק? You know why? הוא לא משקר, he doesn't lie. I told him maybe he forgot his Kippur, he told me, no, I know it's Kippur. Maybe you have to eat, he told me, no, look people. That's what it means sees the good. Even in a Rasha you see good. Even in a Rasha you see good, right? So over here, what happens? What happens? They told him, hello, maybe you forgot it's Shabbat. You know, we're in the desert, it's hot. Maybe you forgot. He said, no, I know it's Shabbat. And you're still doing it. You're still Mechalel Shabbat, yeah. They brought him to Moshe Rabbeinu. And what happens? Hashem says, you have to stone the man. He profaned the Shabbat in public. You have to stone him.
Stone?
Lama, okay? Stone. Skila. Lama. Why? Why did he do that? They warned him. They told me it's Shabbat. Moshe Rabbeinu is there. אתה לא מתבייש. You know, in English they say Hshuma. מה אתה עושה? כן, מה אתה עושה? אומר המדרש, לא, הוא היה לו חשבון. He had a good חשבון. He made a good calculation. He made good. הוא אומר, he said like this. This whole story, when does it take place? This whole story. It takes place after the Meraglim. They wanted to stay in the desert and everything. And then Hashem told them, you have to stay in the desert 40 years, till the old generation passes away, then I'll bring you to Israel. מה אמרו אנשים בקמפ? What did people say in camp? What? 40 years we're going to turn into the desert, and we're not coming into Israel? We're not going to go to Israel? So why do you need Torah? Why do we need to put tefillin every morning? Why do we need to keep Shabbat? Why do we need to eat kosher? They just received the Torah. But it says this Torah is not going to serve for nothing because they're going to die anyways, and they're not going to Israel. So what do we need the Torah for? Kach anashim, they're talking between them. He came up with an idea. My idea, Shelah. What is the idea? You know what? He's going to do a sin, and he knows Hashem is going to punish him, but he's going to show everybody, watch out, don't do sins, because this is what's going to happen to you. So he wanted to die, L'Shem Shamayim. So he went. He profaned the Shabbat, bechavana, intentionally, to be, he doesn't know what's going to happen to him, but he knows he's going to be punished very harshly. Right? He knows he's going to punish very harshly. And that's what happened there. He got stoned. Was he right? Haim hu tzadak? Completely wrong. You know what happened? Why? Look at Rashi, what is Rashi telling? מתי זה קרה הסיפור הזה? When this story happened? The second Shabbat. After we started to keep Shabbat, right? The second Shabbat, he came with this idea. You know what happened? The Gemara says, we kept already one Shabbat. Okay. If we would keep another Shabbat, Mashiach would have came. Look at now. How long was it happen? How long did it happen before? לפני 3,500 שנה, 3,500 years ago, Moshe Rabbeinu in the desert. Since then, the Jewish people were not able to keep one full Shabbat. The Jewish people, 15 million people, or 18 million people, or 20 million, whatever number we were, whatever number we are, or we were not able to keep Shabbat. One more Shabbat to bring Mashiach. I don't know, if you remember, like 5 years ago, there's somebody, a rabbi from South Africa, he had an idea to make a worldwide Shabbat, right? He was able to make in 1 or 2 countries, but that stopped right there and stopped after 2 years. You know? If he would not have done what he did, Mashiach would have been there. And they would have come to Israel. And there would be the Geulah. But we always think we're more smart than Hashem. We always want to give ideas. Don't give ideas. Follow what Hashem says. And always see the good. If they have to stay 40 years in the desert, probably it was good for them. Hashem knows. The 40 years was good for them because they were not ready, right, spiritually to come into Israel and to enjoy what it's in Israel. So Hashem says, in 40 years you can understand. Right? And that's what the Gemara says. You know what the Gemara says? Sometimes you go to Torah classes. Sometimes you have a rabbi teaching you in a kollel, in a yeshiva, right? And a lot of times it will happen that you don't understand. You don't understand. And you say, I don't understand what the rabbi wants from me or what the rabbi is teaching me. I don't think it's concerning me and I don't think it's anything to do with our generation. En Adam omed al dat rabo ad sof 40 shana. A person wouldn't understand what his rabbi taught him. It takes 40 years sometimes to understand a teaching. The 40 years was to understand what Moshe Rabbeinu was teaching us. They were not ready yet. They were not ripe yet to understand. So Hashem says, stay 40 years in the desert, not as a punishment, as a preparation. לפעמים אתה לא מבין דבר 40 שנה. עד 40 שנה תבין אותו. אתה צריך לדעת. יש לך עוד כמה שנים. כן? So to tell you, Rabotai, everything has, sometimes looks bad, everything is good. The lesson of Parachat Shelah Lekha, look for the good. תחפש את הטוב. In everything there's good. And you create a time, in the time frame, you create the date. And you create the time. Because this time is going to just go over itself. You're standing in one place. Time is going around you. So when you do something good, the next year, this good is going to come around you. Right? And you do it for you, for your children, for your great-great-children. Everything you do is for generations. They were Dor HaMidbar. The counter started, the clock started with them. And the consequences are till now, 3,500 years after, right? But we have to understand we also set time. And let's set the time to the good time. Right? But Hashem, let's hope we can sit there good and be good, okay? And Hashem was going to give us good. אני אומר לשאלה שלך או לא אני?
כן.